Good evening, folks. I guess people are joining.
Good evening, Pratik. Good evening, guys.
Hi, Abhimanyu.
Hello,
What's up?
Abhimanyu.
Fine,
I
you're
can see
fine. And how
Jugal
are you?
also here. I just spoke to Jugal. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I'm good.
हाय अभिमन्यु जी, गुड इवनिंग।
Good evening.
हम लोग सब लोग अलग अलग पार्ट ऑफ द यूनिवर्स से, नॉट इवन स्टेट्स, एक न गैलेक्सी से है।
अच्छा, कौन सी गैलेक्सी से नाम बता दो।
प्रत्युष
वो प्रत्युष कोई तो गैलेक्सी जा रहे हैं यहाँ पर।
सही है।
प्रत्युष जी, कौन से गैलेक्सी में आप?
क्या बता घूम रहे हैं
So
अभी
चलो,
तक।
by the time you are joining in, tell me how was your experience in the first cohort? कितना मजा आया गोवा में? नहीं आया? Anyone?
सर, मैं तो प्रमोट कर करके थक गया मेरा इंस्टाग्राम पे, और सब लोग को बोल
Oh,
बोलते
nice.
मेरा प्लीज डू, दिस इज लाइक अ गॉड सेंट एक्चुअली, लाइक आई मस्ट से दैट।
Awesome.
बैंगलोर में कम से कम 40-50 लोगों को बता के हो गया है।
वेरी
अच्छा.
नाइस।
Oh, okay.
So we can start, Abhimanyu. It is 8:05.
Got it. So some ground rules. I and Prakash ji are the youngest in this meeting, so feel free to disturb us. Feel free to ask any questions to us. ये ना तो कोई फॉर्मल प्रेजेंटेशन है ना कुछ है, तो कभी भी टोक के हाथ खड़ा करके आप या चैट बॉक्स में डाल सकते हैं अपने क्वेश्चंस. I don't have a presentation. I have a set of flashcards that I will be discussing, taking you through. Essentially, I will be talking about stuff जो during my journey people didn't talk to me about. So I felt that it was necessary, it should be shared with you. Some underlying basic concepts, because there's a lot of knowledge and gyan available on YouTube also, but let's talk about basics as well. So I'll present through that. And first of all, thank you so much for doing this so late evening. I know for some of you this might be dinner time, so feel free to have dinner also along with this meeting. Absolutely fine. To the extent possible, please keep your videos open so that I know when it is get boring, I can see you yawning or I can see you excited, whatever that case might be. All right, so I'll just play. Any precursors, Prakashji, Teja, Zishan, anything to share? Anything else?
No, Abhimanyu. I mean, we are confident that the team is in able hands. So, guys, you are going to learn from Bhishma Pitamaha. So, listen carefully.
Prakash ji is the real Vishnu Patama. I'm just the follower. Awesome. So my name is Abhimanyu. As most of you know, is my screen visible?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it is visible. It is visible.
So my name is Abhimanyu. As most of you know, I have done about 11 or 12 journeys, not startups, basically in the last 15 years. And you can see this comprise edtech, telecom, consulting. But mostly I've spent most of my time with an organization called SLI, Sustainable Livelihood Initiative India, where we worked on water purification and solar energy. I was also recently, I am still a part of the Build 3 team, where we work with early stage social impact startups. 18 Startup is one of our most promising startup coming out of Build 3. And I'm also in the process of launching my own new venture called Renew Cred in the climate tech and the fintech space. The reason I'm telling this is I've seen ups and downs, I've seen multiple journeys, and I understand what it means to create a startup, but more essentially what it takes to do proper research before launching one. तो ये तो हो गई मेरी बात. Now this session will be a little interactive. I'm here to learn from you guys, not guys and girls, not to teach you anything. So a very happy Women's Day. I can see a few women founders also in the chat box. But all of you, whoever is over here, please use the chat box. Tell me what is the problem statement and the proposed solution you're working at. So let's take 1 minute. Please type it in the chat box. So I've left an example. I'm not sure if you can see my chart or not.
Yeah, we are able to see your message.
Awesome. I will request the 18 startup team also to do the same. Difficult for people to find good co-founders or teammates. Yes, a big problem. You can write your proposed solution also. This is Vamika. Jugal is writing problem of content creators face challenge using limited resources. Nitish is writing, aspiring entrepreneurs in India encounter significant challenges in finding again co-founders or two working for co-founders. Anvitha is writing, aspiring Indian significant. Oh, all of you have problem of co-founders.
Yeah, we're
No,
actually in the same team.
they are part of the same team. They are all entering the data. That's why.
Ah, I see. Chalo, at least one co-founder social media is coming up.
There are three problems. I think one is co-founder, one is social media, and one is fintech.
Got it. Traditional financial education is often complex, inaccessible, and overwhelming. Finance fun, engaging, empowering first-time investors. Okay, so one is co-founder, the other is finance. Waiting for the third problem statement. And I'll come back to this why I requested you to focus on your problem statements. Come on, third team, still waiting for you.
Google third team has already put it. No content creators face
Oh,
problem.
okay, content creators. Okay, awesome. So we
Yeah.
have three problems over here: co-founders, content creators, and financial education. I'll move. Now I want you guys to think about four things that are most crucial for the startup. Hint, you have already told one, which is co-founders or finding founders. What are the other three things? Use your chat box. Use your mind. Funding, network, execution. Sure, Mr. Mittal. Idea, team, execution, market. Yeah, very close enough. Teammates, financial research, understanding customer, execution, team, solution, product, market. Oh, yes, Prakashji. All right, all right. Most of you know this. So the 18 startup team has done a wonderful job in the cohort. So the four things that are most important for any startup or venture are founder, idea, market, and money. You need a co-founder. It becomes very problematic to build anything solo. You're only building out of your ideas. And startup ecosystem as a space has not seen a lot of people build ventures solo. So you need a co-founder anyhow. So another thing that you need is be very clear of your problem statement, but obviously know something about the solution that you want to build. So most of you wrote some solutions, what could happen. That is the second important thing. The third important thing is which solution though we know this is what we want to do, but is there a market also for that or not? And the fourth important thing is money. These are the four important things that build a startup. Now there's a difference between the word search and the word research. Search is when you go about doing it, not using something else that somebody else has done. So you search for a founder. You don't ask your parents कि founder के साथ काम करूँ क्या. You go by your vibe, your feeling, your value alignment. The same goes for money. You have to go and look out for it. Obviously, you can see which sectors are the VC investing in, what is hot right now, would a bank give you money or not. That research you can do, but still have to go and look out for it. But there are two things that you can research, and that is why the word is research. Somebody has just done the search, you just have to again do it, which is what is the idea or the product that you're building on, and whether there is enough competition, value proposition that others have built it on it or not. And the second thing you can research is, yeah, is idea या solution के लिए is there a big enough market also or not? Got it? Any doubts till this point? And also keep in mind what is important for you out of these four, and we'll come back to that. So, like I said, you have to research when you're researching an idea or product. This comprises of research and development behind the idea itself or the product itself, and what is your competition. So, one of the problem state was financial literacy. So, in that case, you will have to figure out how will you provide financial literacy, who is your competitor. There are a lot of apps that have come up. What is their distribution? What is their price point? See, essentially, when you are creating a startup, what matters really is three things. What is the product or the core innovation that you are building? Is it different from your competitors or not? So, your value proposition needs to be very clear. The second thing that matters is how will your product and services reach customers, which is called distribution. And the third thing that matters is at what price point it will reach the customers. So, let me take an example. I have a pen, and I would say this is a brilliant, beautiful pen. But what is the color of the pen? How good is the ink? Does it flow well or not? All of these are product questions. Can it fit in my pocket? Can it fit in my child's pocket? All of these are product questions. The second question is, how will I sell this pen? What is the distribution of this pen? Will it be through e-commerce? Will it be through warehouses, resources? And the third question is, what is the price point? All of this you have to research for your competitors also. Same applies to market. Now, I hope some of you know what is TAM, SAM, and SOM, but that is the total available market. And out of this, what is the proportion of market you can get? So, if you are creating startups and you're not creating a bootstrap startup, a bootstrap startup means you're not taking investors from money, you're not taking money from investors. But if you're taking money, the startup needs to be in a big enough market for it to be VC backable. So let's talk a little bit more about it. Suppose as an investor, I give you 100 rupees. I will always expect you to pay me much more than 100. And for that to happen, you need to be in a market where there are many customers, right? Only then will your product be accepted by a few customers and you will be able to give back the money to the investor. So you have to research all these numbers. We'll come back to this again. Any doubts over there? Feel free to ask any questions. Nope. Cool. So essentially the question comes is, why is all this even important? I just said ki you have to think about your product, you have to think about the market size because it needs to be VC backable. But is it really important? Should we first start the startup and then think about this? Or should we first think about this and then start the startup? And I'm not saying there is any right or wrong over there. Both are possible. But there are two ways to create a startup. One is risk hai to ishq hai wala kind. You just launch your product and startup out there in the market and wait for customers to come to you. That's true. Okay, so Pratik is saying first start and then think. And like I said, both are true. The first is the risk hai to ishq hai wala model. And the second is I tested my startup idea. I went to the market. I created slow. I did a lot of research. I took validation and then launched the product. From my learnings of last 15 years, I would say the second formula is far more better than the first formula. Because what happens is, as young founders, as people who don't have a lot of money, we are tightened by resources, not just money, but people also. The people who are going to work with you, they don't have enough time to spend, and their money is also limited. So you have to be frugal. You have to plan for your money accordingly. And that is why test your ideas tends to work better. Pratik, would you like to explain why did you say ki hit the market first?
Yeah, sure, sir. By the way, am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Okay, okay. So, like, what I said is like, why I said this, that first start a startup and then think, because like if we are feeling some problem, or like we are launching some product in some categories, it is possible we can create desire for that product in people,
Yeah.
like to buy that. So there is a category creation, desire creation, creating of FOMO, that if you don't buy this product, so you, so that can be done. But if you are doing something that's more better, you are not doing something or just researching, because sometimes our all it is mathematics only. Like
Yeah.
sometimes your data is very low, or some like 1,000 numbers are, you say okay it's very high for probability, or making some research, but sometimes what happens is that mathematicals get wrong.
Yeah.
So that's why like some research get wrong. That's why I
Yeah.
think first
No, while I
execute then
completely
see.
agree with you, what you're trying
Hmm.
to say is you have to create a FOMO in the market. Now, my question to you is, what if there is already someone who is building the same thing out there in the market? What will you do?
So again we will have the advantage, because someone who is working maybe literally trying the second option, like he will thinking till then I am launching the product, and now customer is giving feedback, so I am hand to hand I am doing research and development, so I am executing my thing, so I am
Mhm.
already in the market, but he is still in thinking stage.
Yeah, sure, sure. I completely agree with you, but you're comparing with someone who is building with you. What I'm trying to say is, what if the product is already out there in the market? No issues, we'll move forward. So there are two ways
Yeah.
to do this, and both ways are good. So essentially, what is research? And this will answer Pratik your question also. Research is a kind of validation. The deeper you research, the more concrete is your plan. So if you want to build something, you go out there, you check your competitors, you see what they are doing, Why did they fail? Why did they pass? And what is the new that you can do that the customers will accept your product or not? So as founders, we are sometimes very passionate about what we want to build. And in all the three problem statements that you stated, there are already many startups that are building out there. So you need to understand how will you capture a bigger market? Why will people adopt your? Like there is TikTok and there is YouTube. Till the time TikTok was there, people stopped using YouTube because it was funnier, it was funkier for them to use. Same is with Instagram. People keep swiping Instagram because it's a behavioral change that Instagram has made for us. But if you compare YouTube with Spotify, although Spotify is created to absorb content, audio content, the highest audio content is being absorbed at YouTube, not Spotify. So you have to make these decisions, understand the market, understand the behavior, and then if you launch, your possibility of failing is less. You get me? And then you can create what is called, what you rightly pointed out, okay, let's work with minimum data what we have, let's launch in the market, but our decision making should be better. Get it? Any questions, anyone? Anybody who has tested it, who tried to launch something and they could not do it? Anybody wants to share a story? Yes, Pratik.
So actually, why I mentioned this, so because like I started in my college a startup called Abhiprayam. Okay, so
Yeah.
what I did was like as a pilot project, I took feedback from our college student of our college only. Okay,
Okay.
but till the just when I've released the form, nobody filled that form and it goes totally fail. So
Hmm.
my only the MVP got failed, so I can't proceed that one. So I am trying something else to do so. So it was a feedback based startup, so like it literally failed by the
Perfect.
execution.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
No, while
but I
execution is
know,
very
yeah.
important, I completely agree. And sometimes execution is the real defensibility as a startup. The point I'm trying to make is, had you researched whether this product will work or not, whether there's market or not, your chances of failure will reduce. Now, whether a startup is accepted by or not is completely dependent on the market itself, but chances reduce. Anybody else wants to share their startup story? They have built something in the past. Yes, Pradesh.
So I, so I had my own highway restaurant actually before.
Yeah.
So the that time I did research that what are the things needed for highway restaurants, means the area research I did, what things are available, what market is there. I did
Hmm.
everything, research and everything. But the thing is, in the research, all the things were on point. Means whatever the things were mentioned, I worked on them. But at the end, when the things come up giving their money,
Yeah.
so that time in execution, the thing is like research was good, but at the same at when people are filling even the Google form, they don't have to pay.
Hmm.
So the reality and the research were far different. The actual scene came in that.
Yeah.
So so my thing is like research is important, but it's like 10-20%. But actual market means you can get actually some means दिलासा मिल सकता है कि हाँ जा सकते हैं ये कर सकते हैं पर एट देन वो मार्केट पे डिपेंडेंट है कि जब पैसे देने की बारी में आती है तो देते हैं कि नहीं
100%. एंड विल टॉक अबाउट दैट एज वेल. कई बार क्या होता है, रिसर्च के अंदर हम जो क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं वही गलत होते हैं. तो हमें लगता है मार्केट तो हाँ हाँ कर रहा है, एंड विल आई विल टच बेस ऑन दैट एज वेल. पर रिसर्च और प्रोडक्ट में काफी फर्क हो जाता है. यस जुगल, यू वांटेड टू शेयर समथिंग.
Yeah. So me and a couple of my known people, we were working on a startup, and this was a Web3 based startup. And so we had got an initial grant. We had pitched just a concept note, and then we were fortunate enough to get an initial grant. But because it was more on the creative, uh, basically it was making NFT projects.
Yeah.
And so what happened, like it took us 3 months to make the NFT, uh, the products. But then later on we started expecting, how long do we go for?
Yeah.
Because we want to do this full time, but we all have a day job separately. And like a typical problem was like, how do we make it sustainable? How do we follow our passion,
Sure.
become sustainable, so that we can quit the day job or continue the startup where the startup can give us some kind of salary, be it 50%,
Yeah.
whatever. We were not able to crack that. That is why we failed.
I understand. Understand. Prakash is raising his hands.
I don't think execution and research are mutually exclusive. We
True.
have to do both simultaneously. या तो ये करेंगे ना तो वो करेंगे is not the question at all. You have to continuously research, and as Abhimanyu said, we have to look into our research, because most of the time we like to एक नया शर्ट खरीदा तो we like to wear the shirt and ask अच्छा है क्या, okay, instead of asking what do you think about this shirt. That the response from people for to these two different questions about the same shirt will be different for the different questions. The moment you
100%.
show your interest, they want to make you feel happy, so they give you positive answer. But if you ask objective question, they'll give you an objective answer. So I think that is where the next part of the session will go on.
Yeah.
So while I personally also say that execution is very, very important, I also feel that deep research, uh, uh, I mean, the execution should be backed by some kind of research which is deep enough and objective enough.
True. True. 100%. And there's also one more reason why you research. I think as founders, most of us will be placed against either grant bodies or investors. We'll go to investor, we'll ask for money to them. So your research creates more depth in what you are saying. Your storytelling becomes better. Your understanding of markets become better. Your competition becomes better. And there's always going to be competition that is going to happen in the market. There is Zomato, so there is Swiggy. There is Ola, so there is Uber. The competition will always be there. But all of these have some differences in their business model or how they make money. So if you want to launch your own next startup, you need to understand what is it that you're doing different. So the people who are talking about financial literacy, there's already Grow, there is already Zeroda's product. How are you going to be different from them? Or the people who are talking about finding co-founders. There are accelerators like Antler, EF, there is YC's co-founder matching community, there is 100x.VC's co-founder matching community. So you will need to understand when you go in front of a VC, how are you different, number one. Number two, you will also have to explain a VC that how big is the market? Can you become a market player by just capturing 2% of the market, or will you have to capture at least 50% of the market to return back their money? Because for investors, we as investors, and I say we because I'm also in an investment committee at Bill 3, we as investors don't really care when it comes to giving money how good the product is. What we care is our money going to come back or not? And if it is going to come back, then there's a business to be made over there or not. And that is the next point that I want to touch you. And I'm not pretty sure how many of you know about this, but how the investment world works is if I invest into 10 startups, I know 5 of them will fail. 4 of them will return me the money that I have invested, but only one will hit the jackpot for me. So right on day zero, without even giving you the money, my mindset is I want to only invest in the companies that are going to hit the jackpot for me. And that is why I'm looking at founders who have done great research, who understand their business models, who understand their product outside inside out, and who also understand what is the market size and what are the kind of customers that will buy my product or not. So as founders, knowing about your competition, knowing what is called an ICP, whether this product is made for an Abhimanyu or a Jugal or a Prakash or someone like Teja, you need to be very clear in your mind. Who are you building it for? And that is all components of research. Any doubts, any questions over here?
Uh, so looking at your previous slide that you mentioned, that four
Yeah,
things that made us that makes a startup:
yeah,
founder, idea, market, money.
yeah.
So can we say that because we had founders, we had idea, and we feel that we had market also, but because we did not have money, the, the startup failed.
See, basically, the fact that really matters right now is the two things that matter the most about business are founders and market. If you have a great founder and you're building in a big enough market, then access to money is not a problem these days. There's a lot of money in the ecosystem with the VCs. The problem is that your products are not aimed at good markets. And that is why the VCs are not ready to back products. So it goes back to the same thing that I just said. Your market size should be big enough. You should understand your product very, very well. And you should know what your competition is. If these three, four things are clear in your mind as a founder, no VC will say, don't take my money. But normally what happens is, वो कहते हैं ना हिंदी में कहावत अपना बच्चा सबको अच्छा लगता है. So same with founders. Whatever we are building, we feel that's the best, and we will capture the market and will beat the competition. Our execution is very strong, but that's not always the case. Until and unless you're not very clear why others are failing or succeeding, VCs won't even look at you because the VC ecosystem realizes what is happening in the ecosystem. But as founders, sometimes we are oblivious about it. And that is where this quote comes from. A great team and a lousy market. Market will win and market will say your startup is not working. A lousy team in a great market, still the market will win. But a great team in a great market is when you build a great startup. And that is what is required. Team and market. Money to hai. Usko aap, as founders, we always keep thinking, and because we keep reading stories. Bhavish Agarwal created another startup, Ashwini Grover created another startup, 50 crore, 500 crore. What I want to really tell you right now is don't even think about capital raising money in your mind right now. That will happen. But think about knowing your product very well. You should become great fans of your product. You should know everything about it, your competitors, why it will work, why it will not work, and put it down in a deck. That is what happens, and that is what, as founders, we need to research about. Okay? Anybody who has faced troubles not researching and then figured out, अरे सोच लिया होता पहले तो अच्छा होता. Nobody. Nice. Yeah, yeah. Who's this?
I didn't have actually a startup, but I started a Horeca distribution business.
Yeah,
So first I thought that you can start from zero and get clients 1 plus 1. So
yeah,
actually I had a restaurants in my known restaurants and everything. So I started it every month five restaurant. Till 3 months I got 30 odd restaurants which were
okay,
doing very well for me. But as the restaurant numbers increased that I was servicing to, the biggest issue I faced was the credit line, which I had
yeah,
not thought of before, because
yeah,
the whole Horeca business had been running on credit line only. So
yeah,
because of that, I had to give the dealership to someone else.
yeah,
So that was one incident that I धंधा तो हो रहा था, पर उसमें जो चीज इम्पोर्टेंट है, जो क्रेडिट लाइन मेंटेन करना, वो
yeah.
इतना डीप में सोचा नहीं था, उसके वजह से फिर वो बंद करना पड़ा.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, काफी सारे, there are many reasons. Like when I was creating my water purification devices, we created beautiful water purifiers. But then realized that if you want to sell to elder people, now elder people can't bend or can't move high. So we have to create a system which is at the kitchen slab height. So we had to redo the entire design completely. Talking about service sectors, there are a lot of consulting assignments we do where we send people from a particular background or expertise. And sometimes knowledge is not enough. The understanding of the ground reality is more important. So your hiring is based on research, your product designs is based on research. So everything links to research. You need to understand what you're doing inside out. And this also answers the question that that me and Jugal were just discussing, that what is most important for you as founders? Obviously, finding a co-founder is very important. Whoever you work with, you should match the same values, the same vibe, the same purpose in life. And essentially, you find a co-founder who wants to build in the same space. And that is why I made the color red. So you will work with someone who's also so passionate about the creator economy in itself. See, passion leads to the urge to do research and know more. I can be passionate about Shah Rukh Khan. I can tell you all the movies about Shah Rukh Khan and maybe not about Salman Khan. That's the same process that follows over here. I'm very passionate about water and solar and climate, and I can go on and on speaking about it for the entire night. So if you're not passionate about at least the space, forget the problem statement of the product. Please don't build in it. Change your space, focus on something new, because entrepreneurship in itself sometimes gets very lonely. It's a long journey. You will find your investors, you won't find, the market won't always be kind. It will take some time for you to figure out who your customers are. And that is where this passion is very important. If you're not passionate about the space, फिर लगेगा यार job ले लेते हैं, let's do something new, why am I doing this also? So the most important is, yes, co-founder. The second most important thing is being in a good space where you're passionate about, and being in a space which has a big enough market size. So the world's best pen was a pen that worked without gravity. I think this is the example given in Three Idiots also, that you can write in space. So what's the point of that pen if it costs a lot and has no market on Earth? You have to create normal Reynolds ₹2 ka pen and that will sell on Earth. So you have to use your logic whether the market is big enough or not. Don't be so into product क्या market ही भूल जाओ. Then comes the product, and then money is always the last. If you get the first three right, there's a lot of money right now in the market. So these are some things that I wanted to highlight. Now getting to the core topic of today. Yeah, somebody has raised their hand. No? Okay. So there are two forms of research. The first is called primary, the other is called secondary. Anybody has any idea about what primary and secondary research are? I can take a guess from the name. Yeah, Pratik, go for it.
So like primary research includes that we ourselves search in the market, research in the market, like what somebody else has done or what somebody is doing there. So
Yeah.
this is primary research. And
Yeah.
secondary research is we ask somebody that if somebody doing anything in this type of field in our market or not. Like we secondary, it is relative research. We find from others, not directly from us ourselves only.
Yeah, 80%, 90% correct. So primary is when you go out, you talk to people, you get data set yourself rather than relying on something that somebody else has done. That is primary. Whereas secondary, first hand data collected is primary. Perfect, Nitish. Secondary is when you rely on a lot of Google search, desk activities, you rely on data that somebody else has already fetched for you. That's secondary research. And both research are very important. So let's talk about where which research is used. So there are forms of research. Primary research is all about, like I said, surveys, getting deeper into the space, getting deeper into the idea, understanding your product more, the value proposition, business model, consumer behavior. So think of it that I will go and take a survey, ask or take an interview of Pratik. I'll ask him, hey, I'm creating this new EV vehicle. Have you bought an EV vehicle in the past or not? What were your pain points? So this one-on-one interaction is all primary. Whereas secondary is all about desk research. Primary is best used when you are trying to think of your product because you are innovating. And when you are innovating, nobody else has done it. So how will you get secondary data? So that is where primary is so important. Secondary is important to get the market size. Obviously, if you're creating something, that space has already been dominated by someone. So you know इसमें कितने लोग खरीदते हैं, how many pens are sold, how many EVs are sold in a year, whether the market size will make sense or not. And we can do a separate elaborate session on time sum as well. But that is all about secondary. Any doubts still here? Anyone? No? Cool. Yes, Pratik.
Sir, like how to find that the when we do some secondary research,
Yeah.
so how to find the authenticity or something like accuracy.
Yeah. I will just come to that when I talk about the secondary part. Let's talk about the primary first. But good question. I will come to that once again. I'm not sure if this is visible. Okay. So the primary is all about interviews, surveys, and doing groundwork. There's a book called The Mom Test written by a gentleman called Rob Fitzpatrick. And he says that while you're doing primary research or surveys or questions, there are a few things that are very important. And I will go one by one. The first is, and this we are talking about creating a research or creating interview questions. So we're saying कि अगर आप research कर रहे हो या फिर interview के question पूछ रहे हो तो ये चीजों को ध्यान में रखना और फिर ही आप आगे बढ़ना. And we will take one example also after this. The first thing is that ask impersonal objective questions. Don't say yes or no. So if you are creating for financial literacy, don't ask them question whether you want financial literacy or not. Everybody will say yes. Or if you're creating an app for content creator and you ask them, hey, I'm creating a cool app for content creator which is better than Instagram, will you want or not? Everybody will again say yes. So don't ask yes no questions because they don't serve any purpose. You have to ask questions which promote feedback. And what kind of questions will be, we will talk through in statement. Second, focus more on behavior and pattern. So if you're solving for financial literacy, focus, try to see कि वो लोग पैसा कहाँ खर्च करते हैं, how are they thinking about financial literacy, do they even watch YouTube videos or not, who are the followers they follow on Instagram. But if you ask them कि आपके पापा आपको कितनी पॉकेट मनी देते हैं, so they will randomly say an answer and that data won't prove anything for you. So you have to focus a lot on behavior of the customer. The third thing that we talk about is seek evidence of commitment. And this really means is, I said don't ask yes no question, but tell them a scenario that if your problem is solved in such a way, would you like to buy this or not? And if yes, what makes you feel you want to buy this? And give them 3 4 random scenarios. So what you're doing is उसी customer से आप पूछ रहे हो कि what is the solution that will work for you or not. In your mind as a founder, you know there are 3 4 things I can try, and you are thinking कि जो मेरे को सही लग रहा है वो launch करूंगा. But instead of doing that, ask your customers, talk to 100 people, they will tell you. The fifth thing they're saying that validate problem, not solutions. So anytime you design survey, ask them questions around like for financial literacy, is there financial literacy to the extent you can't solve? Don't give them solutions outright. Because like I said initially, solution के लिए तो हर कोई हाँ ही बोलता है. And one of you just said also कि you did a market research, you felt that 20% said yes chalega and finally वो चला नहीं. I think Jugal mentioned about that. This is the reason we don't create logical survey or we don't ask questions in a logical manner. And finally, the most important is don't feel bad if you get negative feedback or if your hypothesis is not working. If you felt that my app was wonderful and market tells you it is not, don't try to go against the market. You already have enough data, this is not working. Try to think of how you can make it better. So these are the 5 things, 5 logical questions that you have to think about while designing your question set. So I will take you through one of the survey questions. This is for a new company that I'm about to launch. It's called Renew Cred. We're a marketplace for solars and EVs. So an Amazon for solar and EV. There is a much more nuance to it as well, but it's simplifying it. So I will show you the survey questions. Or
So
what?
just before that,
Huh?
just
Yeah.
very this thing, very this question, dumb question, but just for the curiosity,
Yeah. Yeah.
ऊपर slide में आपका लिखा है the mom test. What is the mom? Mom stands for?
It's mark. It's a good question. I'm also forgetting it's marketing. Let me check and give you the exact answer. Something got to do with marketing. Mad over marketing. That's the company. I will check and come back to you. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Sorry, thank
Awesome.
you. Please
Awesome.
continue.
So instead of showing you the question, what I can do is I'm putting this link in the survey form itself, in the chat box itself. I want you all to open it. Take a few minutes. If you want to fill the form, well and good. If you don't, focus on the kind of questions that are asked over there. And using the same survey, think about what the questions were. Okay? It'll take 2 3 minutes for this. And the essential thing to note over here is throughout this form, we've just asked 1 or 2 yes no questions. That also just to check their curiosity. But through limited questions, we are absorbing maximum data. So the focus needs to be on behavior, not on what solution you're offering. Because I will again repeat, if you ask someone whether they want to buy a Mercedes and give them 2 options, yes or no, they will always say yes. And that's not a true reflection of your survey, that's waste of time and energy. So as you can say, we are asking about how hard it is to find something. Does the upfront cost affect you or not? How can we reach you out? What is your average bill? Not what exact bill are you paying right now. What's your occupation? Have you ever owned this thing or not? So if somebody writes over here, hey, I've never owned this, and then goes on to claim the last time I bought this, this is the problem I had. So we can remove that form completely because we know a person is lying right now. That person is not giving us true data. So you have to ask counter questions as well. So behavior, psychology, decision making, who is affecting the final sale. So, for example, medicines till today are decided by the parents, not the children, or education still is decided by parents, not the children. So you have to, if you are putting a survey to children, you have to ask them who decides, who take decisions for your education. Actually, interviews are more effective. That's a good one, Nitish. Interviews always are more effective because you can also understand rather than just answers the body language of the person as well. The only problem with interviewers is not everyone is always accessible. And some people don't want to come to interview, they just want to write answers. I would say if I have to put a number to it, 75% people just want to do write answers, not come for an interview. That's true. Try to take slightly elaborative answers. All right, we'll spend a minute more on this and then we'll talk about secondary surveys. All right, I believe all of you have some idea about how to form questions in a primary survey, and you can relate to what are the mistakes you might have made in the past while talking to people. And this is a general perspective as well. I would take this opportunity to take a minute and talk about the conversations we have as founders also. So often as founders, we ask our fellow founders, इसमें मजा आ रहा है तेरे को, ये अच्छा लग रहा है ना, बढ़िया है ना. And our friends always say, हाँ ये बढ़िया है, ये अच्छा है, जो तू कर रहा है अच्छा है. But instead of asking them these questions, take a step back and ask them, यार अगर तेरे को ये यूज करना होता तो तू करती क्या, या फिर तेरे घर में तेरे को लगता है कोई ये चीज मेरा प्रोडक्ट यूज करेंगे, एंड देन यू विल गेट बेटर फीडबैक. And as founders, it is very important to get a lot of feedback from as many people as possible across ages, across locations, because that is how we develop what is called a critical insight. And developing critical insights are more important than the problem and solution themselves. We can talk a lot about critical insight also, but try to reach a position where you know something about the market that your competitor has no idea about. Like before Dropbox, there were many software called Zender. You can email documents to you. You can put it in a pen drive and transfer from one laptop to another. But Dropbox just said, यार एक फोल्डर बना दे डेस्कटॉप पे, किसी को ट्रांसफर करना है उसमें डालो ट्रांसफर हो जाएगा. That was the critical insight. To think, start thinking in terms of what is that one thing you can change for the market. All right, I'll move now. Now this is around secondary research. And when you talk about secondary research, there are five things that are very important. And this will answer Pratik's question also. Even before you do secondary research, tell yourself what exactly are you researching. So in case of creator economy, if you're researching about what is the number of total creators in India, then write it down. This is the only thing I want to know. Don't get into decision paralysis. That I will also talk about international influencers who come to India. I will also talk about moms who create a video. Nothing. Just talk about how many creators exist right now in India. The second question is use a variety of sources. So every time you do a Google search, you get different answers from everywhere. Just take all those answers and jot it down somewhere and see whether there is some pattern or not. And you will start recognizing that all answers, the devil is always in the fine print. So while somebody will talk about the total creator economy is XYZ million, somebody else will talk about a number half to that. But that person, the one who has written half to that, will explain that creator economy can also include content writers, which are not really creator economy. These are novel writers. What we are focusing on is pure creator, solo creator economy, and that becomes your true number. That is why it is important to gather from a variety of sources. The third question is what is the creditability of the source? And this is most of you might be confused. Please don't rely on Wikipedia data. Please don't rely on ChatGPT data. Rely on authentic reports. So a KPMG, a PwC, a Deloitte, an EY will write and report. These are 95% of the times true. Rely on reports given by the government of India. You have PIB. Look for authentic sources that others have also cited in their research, in their documents. Look for that data, and that data happens to be true. Sir, the fourth thing is ensure you're talking about the data that is in the present. So right now it is 2024 going on. Don't give data about 2014, what happened there. You want to talk about data not more than 2 years old, practically. So talk about data which is happening in current. And fifth is, like I mentioned in second, get a lot of data, analyze the data, think about it, research it. Any questions over here? Anything you feel is missing, anything you want to know more about this? I'm pretty sure most of you must have done desktop research in some time. Yeah,
The desktop is actually the first uh, the first and the
research.
most preferred research.
That's true. That's true.
But now we find out that that this is that is the secondary research.
It is. I could also talk from an example quickly how this research is done, what is good and what is not good. So, suppose, like I said, I'm working on EV and solar right now. So, I want to search what are the total number of EV sales that happened. So, I can just do this Google search EV sales in India. Now, please watch a YouTube video on how to do better Google search also. Anything that is put it in inverted commas. This will fetch you better results that are matching to what I have written within inverted commas. So try to think about how Google search also happens. So I wrote EV sales in India and now I can see a bunch of things, a lot of things over here. Now, from my knowledge, from my understanding, I will know that if a newspaper article is talking about something, it has to be 90% right because newspaper editors won't just write anything. So I can see that Hindustan Business Line is saying EV sales growth of 48% in 2023. So I will assume this is right. I will take an Excel sheet, I will note down these numbers. Then I will come down. Now, Markov India is another biggest magazine as far as EVs is concerned. What is Marcom saying? Marcom is saying it is not 48%, it is 50%. So now immediately you have two different data points, but both of them are talking about 1.53 million units only. If you see, very close. Tend to go for data that is more accurate and more long. I don't want the number 1.53. I'm looking for 1,52,600,319 because that I know is well researched data and I know 2% will change over there. And 2% in a 2000 crore market means 200 crores. So you want to get into precise data as much as possible. So that's how you do data analysis. Then again, somebody says 50%, and now I already told you that 50 is not right, 48 is right. So this is one example. How do you do data research? The other examples are there are some I can just write plus PIB. So PIB is Press Bureau of India. It's a government body that releases a lot of researches, and I can look at this uh, EV versus IC report. So IC is the conventional vehicles that I used. EV is the EV vehicles that I use. So when you do research, try to look for papers, bodies, Instagram. Maybe if you're doing for creator economy, try to look for the likes of papers released by Instagram, Facebook, social media, authentic sources who are going deeper into this, who have their own skin in the game. And this is still an art. Once you start doing, you will recognize, you will keep doing it better. A lot of you will get a lot of feedback. You will come to precise numbers, and the numbers will start matching your business. So essentially, this is how both primary and secondary research is done. So now you understand the importance of it. You understand it should be done before you start a business or before you actually go out to market. You also know how this changes customer persona. One of the reasons why we set up Build 3 in Goa was that Goa has people from diverse backgrounds. So doing research and talking to people and doing interviews was easy in Goa. So just talk to as more and more people possible. Interviews always change and give you more perspectives. Also, one of the things that I want to note down over here is if you're interviewing a lot of people or doing survey, do people with different interests. Like don't go to one school and do 100 survey. They will all talk about the same thing. Have different subgroups that you talk to, have different kinds of people you talk to. Cool. So any questions over here? Anything that you guys don't understand? Anything you want to speak more about? Yeah, Pratik, Jugal, and I'm not been able to hear other voices. I've only heard three people. Pratik, I will just pause. I will come back to you. But anybody else, I will just randomly pick up people and ask them to ask me questions. Nope.
Randomly pick up people.
Yeah, I can see Mamika.
Hi, I had one question. So when I'm conducting a survey, when I want to reach out to a larger crowd, how do I do that? Because usually when I'm conducting a survey, it's in my school because that's the people I can reach. But for the
Yeah.
people that I can't reach, how do I motivate them to do a free survey? That's one problem that I have faced in the past.
Awesome. No, that's the most common problem across the board. You first of all reach out if you're doing a survey. You can reach out to influencers or micro influencers both on Instagram and LinkedIn. Request them to relay your survey. The second thing you can do is if you're creating for a very particular niche. So in your case, you're doing for financial literacy. Try to figure out bodies that are already working on that. So it could be the CA circle, it could be CFA circles. Try to get into their WhatsApp groups. Try to promote yourself out there. What has worked best for me is both LinkedIn and Facebook groups because I get a lot of survey results from there. So I can do that. Then there are startup incubators who try to spread survey to the extent possible. I know at least two of them, Riddle and COEP of Bhanu Institute, who do a lot of survey work, and their results are also good. So you have to create your own network. I know a lot of you people were writing about network. Earlier, there used to be some research bodies as well, and they still exist, like the GLGs and the stuff, but they charge a lot. They charge at least anywhere between 500 to 5,000 rupees per survey. So I would recommend that. There are a few startups also that have popped up recently who help getting the service done. I personally haven't used any of them, so you can try their services also. How these startup models are basically made is that they pay people to take surveys and they provide surveys at a fixed frequency. And these surveys typically cost 5-10 rupees. I can also search a few names and let you know later. So these are some ways that through which you can get better surveys done. There's also some people who ask questions about what should be a right survey sample size. So if you're creating for B2C markets, that the end customer is directly your customer of the product, then have at least survey done to at least minimum of 150 people before you launch your product. If you're doing for B2B, where consumers or businesses, talk to at least 50 businesses before you launch. Yes, Teja.
Yeah, so firstly, if something you're listening in the background, I'm so sorry for that. And Vamika, I have one solution for you that is that even worked for us to get surveys done. So just incentivize the survey. So from the very start, we were following this strategy, like to incentivize the survey. Like if they fill the form, like they might be eligible to an internship, or if they fill the form, they might be eligible to a Goa trip, something like that. Like for our previous startup, we have attached an incentive as an internship. Okay, so whoever fills the form can be maybe eligible to the internship. So most of the people are, however, are seeking for internships, sourcing for internships. So they fill the form. And for 18 startup, we have done like a small. We have played a small strategy. Like whoever fills the form can get the uh, chance to enter into the Goa market, or uh, get the free access of fellowship, or get the scholarship for the fellowship. So we have used a few techniques to make the survey fill. And the other thing is you should do what you say. Okay, so if you like say that you are attaching an internship, then you should like you should be integrity enough to give the internship, or at least to take them to the interview. So that thing worked for us.
That's some really good advice. I'll try to implement that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. And sometimes people also use surveys and interviews as a means of acquiring customers. So I've always I keep meeting these startups. What they do is they do a survey, they interview a customer, and then they silently pitch their product that they are trying to build. and the strike rate over there happens to be at least 40 to 50%. More than half the times these people also convert into customers. As a founder, you have to be very smart while you're doing that. Let the Like, if you involve someone emotionally into a product, that half the sale is already done. Now you just have to close the sale and ensure that person is buying your product. So think in that terms. So let's take 4 5 minutes more. I want all of you to do two things. One is that all of you, whatever problem statement you are building on, think of at least one question, just one question that you will be asking in your survey, and also do some Google research. Tell me what is the market size of your product or service that you're building. So just take 2 3 minutes, do this, and put it in the chat box. One question that you will be asking in the survey, and what is the market size of the space that you are in. Yes, Pratik.
Sir, just before that, if you don't mind, can I ask one question to Teja?
Yeah. Please go ahead. Teja, this is for
Uh,
you.
so Teja,
Yes,
like you in Vamika's solution, you mentioned that to incentivize. So I have tried this and my feedback with startup. So what I do is like Abhimanyu said, uh, if the company pays, for survey 5,000 rupees or 5,500 rupees, so the people who fill that survey, I give them some 10% or 5%, so they can also create a earning opportunity there. But the problem in that incentivizing is like the people now are more to get, they are less to share but they are more to get. Now the people have a kind of mind of state like I will get this, I will get this, so they feel some fakeism occurs there. So how to solve with that problem when you incentivize something?
so in this case, my suggestion would be not incentivizing with money is should be the last priority, because money motivates people to give the wrong answers also. Okay, so but if you're asking the right target audience and providing the incentive which the target audience needs. Okay, so in our case, students are our target audience, right? So students are in need of internships, so we have provided the incentive as internship, right? So in that case, we have got the good data. But in this case, if we have said that if you fill this form, you will get some money, or you'll get some 10 to 20 rupees, then most of the people would say that they'll fill the form, they'll put some or the other answers, and they take the money. Okay, so I think incentivizing with money should be the last priority, according to me, especially.
Thank you very much.
That's true. Thank you. Jyotir Aditya has written one question. Want to make smarter final dishes with engaging content? Yes, that's very good. You can modify this question and ask, how would you write engaging content, or what ideas do you have right on engaging content to make smarter financial decision? Sometimes let your survey participants tell you answers on what you want to build. But yeah, this looks good. I would like more people to add at least one question and tell me the market size of your product or service, please. How do you think you can better the quality of your content? Okay, this is again a great question. Yeah, ask people to tell you rather than you telling them. Yeah, and then what you can do is once you have answers, you can create a word cloud. Okay, a lot of people are talking about better video quality. A lot of people are talking about better script. Perhaps some people might talk about we have the problem that we can't look at script and the video camera at the same time. And just based on that, there is Nvidia who has come up with a new software just to try and solve this problem. So sometimes survey questions tell you what problems to solve for. What's the skill set you're looking for in your co-founder? Perfect question. Very good, Anvita. Thank you. Yeah, this makes a lot of sense. And then you will get an idea whether more people ask for technology founders or more people ask for ops founders, and then you can create a product around them. Will you be willing to pay for such production assistance so as to better your quality of content? If yes, how much? Again, a great question. Yeah, ask people how much they will pay. Uh, will you be paying again? Yeah, perfect. It's not a yes, no question. Why you started your digital creator journey? Pratyush, although this question is good, this won't serve you purpose as far as you are creating your own product. This will become more of an interview as to what they were doing. So you can position this question as once you started your creator journey, what is the immediate step that you took? So now you will know that how to design your consumer journeys better. So sometimes it's a fine line between creating, asking the people what they want to do versus what we feel we should be asking them to do. So market size numbers also. I want all the at least all of these three startups, one representative to tell me about what is your market size. What are the ways you have tried to improve your content quality, and why are you looking for a solution that someone else can provide you? Yeah, this is a great question, but just try to divide it into two. Sometimes people might not end up writing a long answer and then you will be stuck with no answer at all. So try to break it down. Or perhaps you can also change this question, the second part. What are you looking for a solution that someone else can provide to? What are you looking for in a solution? Ask the people to ask you. Nitish has against posted, what are the ways you tried to find a co-founder? You have brilliant question, ask them the ways and you will know how they failed. And what is it that's something you don't need to do once all over again? I'm still waiting for secondary answer question. What's your market size? Are you willing to, Pratyush has written, are you willing to pay for such production assistance so as to better your quality of content? Yes, that's true. Yeah. But again, the problem over here is everybody will write yes, nobody will write no. So the question should be, how much are you willing to pay? Or should this be a free service or not? Or the question should be, hey, Instagram already provides you services to make your content better. Will you still pay? And then you will know that, okay, people are paying or not. Some numbers have finally come. Pratyush has posted, according to Coherent MI, India creator economy market is valued at 976 million. Anticipated to reach. Okay, okay. This looks good. The only problem is that people don't know what Coherent MI is. So the one of the points that we said is authenticity of the source itself. So try to look for authentic sources. Instagram, Facebook both have come up with white papers on content economy in India. So try to go deeper. Chalo, we have from the content. I'm waiting for the financial services, and there was one more problem statement, two more numbers to come up. The co-founder one. In
I
case of
didn't quite catch
co-founder,
the question actually. Could you please
the
repeat that?
question is, what is the market size for your product or service? So it could be in absolute numbers, like he has mentioned, the market size is 976 million, which means total product multiplied by total revenue corresponds to about 976 million. So in case of the co-founder thing, the question could be, how many co-founders or how many founders in India struggle to found a co-founder every year? That could be the question that you have to research, because you can't put a number to it. And in case of EdTech, okay, Pratyush has given, alignment makes a lot of sense. 100 millions, yes, that's true. That's true. Completely agree. Content economy is going wild these days. Jugal has posted YouTube 61 million Visol. Okay, this is kind of authentic. People know about it. Pratik has just declared our market size is 4,000 crore. Oh shit! How come? How did you get that number, Pratik? Just because you're a Mittal, I won't believe in you.
So no. Just like I searched that how many content creators are producing content in. So like what approximately 8 crores to 9 crore content creators are enrolled in all of the content creators platform. So if
Yeah.
we just say for 50%, not all the percent, but 50% of the customers also can apply our some can be our targeted audience. So they reach to be
See,
4
that's the
crore, and if
problem.
we
That's the problem. You know, what
hmm.
is the number of people in India who earn more than 10,000 rupees a month?
Yeah, wait. That's why I multiplied it a very small number.
Huh,
That's
you
thousand.
multiplied by
So
50. 50 is not a small number.
yeah,
Answer the question. How many percent of Indians earn more than 10,000 rupees? The answer is just 4 5%.
yeah.
So you have to start thinking in those terms. Is my market size really that big enough that I am estimating right now? Is 50% a small number? Is 5% a small number? And just let me put it out there. The best products capture not more than 20% of the market share throughout their lifetime. So in the first year, you are not capturing more than 1-2% market share of any product or service you create. So start thinking, and that is why I said research is so important. Think out what is the market sizes your people are, your competitors have captured. How did they capture? What was their journey? And then you will know कि इसमें पैसा बनता भी है कि नहीं और कैसे बनता है. Yeah. Yeah, Pratyush is just throwing numbers now, and these are all. Thank you so much, Pratyush. These are all awesome, like mandated bodies that you're throwing numbers from, because newspaper research is always good.
Aditya, what is your source?
Yeah, sir, I'm sending that. It is from McKinsey. I'm typing in the message in chat box.
Awesome, awesome. I'm still waiting for the co-founders to tell me how any co-founders don't find a founder.
He has given, Nitish has given some number.
Uh,
100,000 DPI it is recognized, 36,000 last year,
okay.
923 incubators, Y
Incubate me.
Combinator has matched 9,000 matches.
Yeah. So that Y Combinator number is very powerful. I'm not sure 9,000 is cumulative or in India or what number.
And I think
Okay,
9,000 all over the world, I think.
yeah, I also think so. That's a number. So start looking that way, and then imagine a hypothetical scenario where you say, "Hey, I will launch this product. Where if you find a co-founder, you have to pay me 1,000 rupees." And say this 9,000 number is annually. So your revenue becomes 9,000 multiplied by 1,000. So that's how you start thinking about how to create a startup. 9,000 multiplied by 1,000, what, 90 crores or something. Then you can go to an investor and say, this is the business I'm already making. I'm making 90 crores. I want 9 crores from you. And then the investor will start taking interest in you. Versus you say, hey, I'm creating this product, but I don't know what my market is. I don't know what competitors are. I don't know what market size is. I don't know anything, but I'm doing something. And see that you understand that is why scientists or academicians don't always become great startup entrepreneurs. We have very less examples of them being entrepreneurs, in spite of the fact that they are creating big products. Because as a founder, it's our moral responsibility to think of all the three things: product, distribution, and the business part of it. So yeah, I'm done with plugging gas for creator economy will boost. Yes, that's sure. I'm done with my part, my delivery. Any questions? Anybody has anything? I know it's a late night. And you can ask me anything about startup, venture building, any questions. Pratik is on full power today.
Sir, like actually, it's not basis on the market research, but out of curiosity, I want to ask you personally a question. Like, you are also working on EV and solar panels. So actually, I'm not building startup on solar panel, but just I'm selling, buying from the Adani and Maharishi mate, and just selling to people who need that. Just that drop shipping part I'm doing of that. But actually, I also tried with EV these things. But personally, my purpose was to protect the environment. So as you are also working on EV, so do you think EV really is eco-friendly? Because in my study, what I found that EV is not really eco-friendly, and if you will be very shocked to know that the vehicles of diesel and petrol are more eco-friendly than the EV vehicles.
You're citing the research that came yesterday in InShots, I guess.
Sorry.
What's your research? What's your data? Like, I, right now, I don't have enough data to
Yeah,
make this
no.
conversation.
There is a startup started by a worker of Microsoft known as Carbon Connect. Okay, so what they did was if you say a EV, so they are producing carbon score for all the products they are. So in European countries and American countries, it's always a practice to buy a product by seeing their carbon score. So the Connect companies do that. So what was found that the carbon score of EV vehicle is more than the ICE vehicle. Because why? Because in India specifically, in EV vehicle there is ion battery, lithium ion battery. So it emits more carbon, very much carbon. And then you charge a EV vehicle, 4 hours per day or
Unfortunately, I
3 hours
have
per
to take
day.
a pause over here because if we get into this conversation, the other participants will get bored. It's a sidebar that we can do, but it's a good question to ask, and there's a lot of data that we can discuss about. But yeah, I will hold on over there. Any other questions anybody wants to ask? Srijan, yes.
Sir, actually, I had a conversation with Prakash sir on in the boot camp regarding the market research.
Yeah.
So there was the words was there is a chance that our people lie towards questions, like the customers don't know their needs actually. So what
That's
is
true.
the chance that we rely upon the data in the primary research?
That's a brilliant question, and that is why I said focus more on the behavior, not on what the person's desires are. See, as a human, we always aspire for something better, that we want to move up the ladder. But our behaviors don't inherently change. That is why your questions will always ask, if what are you building for the creator economy one?
No, sir. The FinTech and the
Yeah. So your
the
question should be, when
hmm.
was the last time you thought about saving money or saving in general? Or when was the last time you thought about what is the interest rates that bank gave and what is the actions you took? But never talk about your solution. Always talk about the problem statement. So that that entire lie part, the desires part, is removed out of service.
Okay, sir. And is any percentage that we should rely only this much percentage upon the primary research data, or any certain percentage or something, or we should
So you need to
completely?
understand you're collecting data to create your product better. So
Okay.
if you're getting a trend line that a lot of people are talking about the same thing, and that is why I said 150 interviews are important. Now out
Okay.
of 150, 75 say, hey, we don't want a website, but we want an app because we use our phone more than the laptop. Then you have to create an app. But if they say, hey, a movie can only be watched on a laptop screen, not on a mobile screen, then you won't create content for mobile screen, but for laptop screens. So these are the kind of decisions you have to make based on survey data.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Yeah,
Okay, sir.
there's no percentage to it.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Cool. No, that's a great question. More questions. All right then. That was an amazing evening. Thank you so much for being such a good audience. I've given a lot of data download. I will share the deck also. It will take some time for you guys to absorb data. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me through the 18 startup team. Yes, Prakashji, all yours.
Yeah, thanks very much, Abhimanyu. It was an excellent session. Guys, the bottom line is that we have to do market research with objectivity. We have to do market research to understand more about the problem rather than trying to prove our point, right? The market research, the questions are our the even the secondary research data that we are seeking on the internet through Google searches. The questions should be in such a way that I want to know what the reality is. It cannot be that is my idea correct or not. Invariably, we are human beings. We will have the tendency of asking, "Mera shirt acha hai na? मैं अच्छा दिख रहा हूँ ना? I mean, do I look good?" is the question. Nobody would feel like telling you, if the, for that question nobody will feel like telling you, no, no, yeah, you are looking tired, unless they are very close friends. But if you really ask people, how do I look, people might say, yeah, you are tired. They don't have a choice but to tell the truth. So that is the gist. It means fundamentally we have to build an objectivity in the research. That is the, I think that is the bottom line that we took for. I'm taking away from this session today. The request is that, okay, for tomorrow's discussion, request you to apply this MOM test and do a fundamental primary, secondary market research of your markets. Prepare questions based on these principles for the primary research, and do secondary research, and let us discuss tomorrow evening. Right? For now, kindly fill in the feedback form, and probably we can all. Yeah, sorry, Pratyush, I didn't see that you had asked for. You wanted to ask the question.
सर एक्चुअली मेरा क्वेश्चन ये था कि हमने जो देखा क्रिएटर इकोनॉमी का साइज उतना है, तो उसमें से हम जो सॉल्यूशन देने वाले हैं वो प्रोडक्शन जो है क्रिएटर्स का उसके लिए, तो उसको मतलब नैरो डाउन कैसे कर सकते हैं? अभी उसमें से कितना परसेंटेज क्रिएटर्स लोगों का प्रोडक्शन में जाता है, तो एग्जैक्टली मतलब क्रिएटर इकोनॉमिक में उसमें से नैरो डाउन कैसे कर सकते हैं?
But that is where आपको प्राइमरी और सेकेंडरी रिसर्च को ना मिक्स करना पड़ेगा. तो आपका प्राइमरी रिसर्च के इंटरव्यू में आपको परसेंटेज मिल जाएगा. समझो आपने 100 लोग का इंटरव्यू लिया, वो आपको परसेंटेज बता देंगे कि 20%, 30% करते हैं, और आपको सेकेंडरी रिसर्च से पता है टोटल मार्केट साइज कितना है. अब मार दो उसका 30%, जो भी नंबर है.
वही मैं वही सोच रहा था, इसलिए वो वे बराबर है क्या नहीं वो मुझे ये करना था. थैंक यू.
Pratyush, I think there is one session specifically on data analysis. For now, let us focus on asking the right questions and collecting the data. There will be a specific session on how to analyze this data, how to make sense of the data that we are collecting.
Okay. ठीक है sir.
Okay. And Nitish, you have asked this question. Nitish is asking, what are the obvious questions we should ask in a pilot research? Everyone.
Yeah. So again, it depends on what you are building, and like I said, always talk about the behavior. So what have been their experiences, whether they're interested into or not, and whatever product or space you are building. Do they feel that their family members will also buy this or not? What is the range that they are ready to pay? What is their pain points with the current solution? So a lot of questions around the behavior or understanding. उन्होंने खुद ने सॉल्व करने की कोशिश की थी कि नहीं की थी पास्ट में. That's it. Don't pitch your solution. Just don't do that.
Yeah, I think just building on to Abhimanyu's this one, try to find exactly what is the alternative being used currently. Whatever you are perceiving to be the problem, how are they managing that problem today? If they are not managing it, most probably the indication is that it's not a problem at all. Okay, or if they are saying, okay, this is a problem and I'm managing it this way. मेरे पास पैसा नहीं है, so I am going to the pawn shop and pledging my gold. So that is a problem. That is an alternative solution that is created there. You can build a better solution for that, where the problem exists. So kindly focus more on identifying the current alternatives.
All right, very best guys, girls. All the very best. Build some awesome startups. Suddenly, Pratik has a question, but I will take that, Pratik. Yeah.
No,
Have a
sir,
nice
I
day.
don't have a question. I just want to thank you all so to bringing to this platform and a grateful insights and like very good full frameworks and also I just want to thank you and the
Most
other
welcome,
team
Pratik.
also.
Thank you so much. Yeah, all thanks to 18 Startups team.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.